Boy, I'm going to give the Biden administration a solid D, and I'm trying to be generous there.
F.
I think this is a failing administration, and I think it's a real shame.
Well, I won't give them a letter grade, but in terms of effectiveness, it's been poor on effectiveness, whether you talk about border security, whether you talk about Afghanistan withdrawal, whether you talk about the inflation challenges we have. In all of those areas, the grade is poor, and we look for effectiveness, we look for some measure of bipartisanship. We really haven't seen that yet.
I'm not big into grades, but I do think we focus, all of us, media or otherwise, on what didn't get done. I think we should shine a light on what did get done.
To me, it's stark. When we come to the governor's meeting, we already had great relationships with the White House. There were people that would reach out to us all the time. We had an issue. We've been having big conversations about the pandemic. We used to have a weekly call with the Vice President and often the President, the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now the call is with somebody much lower down, and the responsiveness to the state is significantly greater.
We've had a lot of interaction with the Biden administration and before that with the Trump administration in regard to the pandemic. And that's been a lot of contact. And look, we've had a good relationship in regard to the pandemic with the Trump administration. We've had a good relationship with the Biden administration. So, these are not partisan issues. These are issues where we're trying to save lives and also keep people working and keep our economy moving.
Day one, they ended the Keystone Pipeline. We have not seen the engagement that we had hoped for. 26 governors sent the president a letter in September asking for a meeting. We got no response. So we'd like to see first some engagement. I'm pleased we're meeting with the president at the White House tomorrow. That's the first chance the governors have had a chance to sit down with him and have dialogue. I am hopeful that it is a constructive conversation, but we deal with federal overreach, and unfortunately we spend way too much time suing the federal government to protect our 10th Amendment rights.
Their communication is just terrible. And from a leadership position, communication is everything. Communication builds public confidence, it builds transparency. They try too hard to be right on an issue. We're always going to disagree on policy or whatever it might be, but when you shut down communication, you lose trust of the citizens. And I think that's where they've really fallen down.
I attended Joe Biden's inauguration. Joe Biden ran as a moderate. He was not given a mandate by the people, and the only time he has governed in those terms was on Inauguration Day. The failed exit from Afghanistan, the surging inflation that's a hidden tax on everyone in this country, the highest cost of everyday living that we've seen in 40 years, the crisis at the border that's not only affecting Arizona but every state with fentanyl spilling in, and now this muddled policy in Ukraine. We've never projected more weakness on the global stage, and there's no real sense to his economic policy, along with failed members from his cabinet like Secretary Mayorkas that is completely out of his depth on the border challenge. So I have to give them a failing grade, and they're going to need a lot of work to turn this around.